Welcome back to Elevate Academy. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do as we begin our revision for the June exam. So we're going to start off by going through a few past papers. We're starting off with the 2024 June paper. And we're going to be breaking this up into a few parts. So you're not going to be doing all the questions in this video. In fact, we'll just be doing question one for this video. And please subscribe so that you could be notified for the rest of the parts that are to come. Okay, so let us begin with question 1.1. We're asked to simplify fully. Excuse me. So let us look at the first question. We see that we have a binomial times a trinomial. 3x minus 2, 2x squared minus 4x plus 1. Okay, 1.1.1. And we know that we're simply going to take the first term from the binomial, multiply it into the trinomial. And we do the exact same thing for the second term of the binomial. We're going to multiply it into the trinomial. Okay. So 3 times 2 is 6. X times x to the power 2 is x to the power 3 using exponent laws. Same basis, we are adding the exponents. We do the same. So positive 3 times a negative 4 is negative 12. X squared, again, 1 and 1. We add them up and get to the power 2. And then lastly, we get plus 3x. We do the same, yeah? Negative 2 times a positive 2, we're going to get negative 4x squared. Negative 2 times a negative 4, we're going to get a positive 8x. And then lastly, we get a negative 2. We're going to do for our like terms. So preferably descending powers here. So 6x to the power 3. And here we have 2x to the power 2s. We have a negative 12x to the power 2. And we have a negative 4x to the power 2. So that's going to be negative 16x to the power 2. And then we look at our x's, positive 3, positive 8. That's a positive 11x. And we left with negative 2. Excuse me. So this is our final answer. Quite simple. Should be getting 2 marks there. Okay, let's clear this. Okay, so let's do 1.1.2. So here we have 4 to the power x times 8 to the power x plus 1 over 32 power x plus 1. So when we see a question like this, the first thing we're going to do is find the prime factors of each of these numbers. So for 4, we know it's simply just 2 to the power 2 and it's going to be to the power x. For 8, we know it's 2 to the power 3 to the power x plus 1. Let's make that 3 a bit clearer. But let's just say we didn't know we didn't know that 8 was 2 to the power 3. We'd use the ladder method. So we look for the smallest prime number that can go into 8 exactly. That would be 2. Then we say 8 divided by 2, we get 4. Then we look for the smallest prime number that can go into 4, which should be 2 again. And 4 divided by 2 gives us 2. And then we look for the smallest prime number that can go into 2, and that will be 2. And we repeat this process until we get a 1 here. Then we see here we have 2 times 2 times 2, which we can rewrite as 2 to the power 3. Excuse me. Then we do the exact same thing for 32, using the ladder method. 32. Okay. Just gonna do this quickly. Exact same method until we get the 1. Then we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2s. So we know that's 2 to the power 5, power x plus 1. Then we're going to raise these powers to what's outside the brackets. So this is simple, 2 to the power 2x. This here is going to be times 2 to the power 3 into x plus 1. And on the bottom, we're going to have 2 to the power 5 into x plus 1. Now I like to write them in brackets because sometimes a common mistake that we make is we write this as 2 to the power 5x plus 1, and we forget to distribute the 5 to the 1 as well. So just be careful of that. So this is equal to 2 to the power 2x times 2 to the power 3x plus 3 over 2 to the power 5x plus 5. So this is relatively simple. We have the multiplication rule on the top and division rule, excuse me, on the bottom. We have one base only. There's no different bases here. So we just have 2 as being the base. So we'll say 2 to the power 2x. And we'll add on the exponents on the top because this we're applying the multiplication law here. So 2x plus 3x plus 3. And when we are working with the exponents on in the denominator, we know that we're going to now subtract because we are dividing. Okay, we're dividing. So whatever we see here, we can do the opposite of it. So this is a positive 5x, we're going to make that a negative 5x, and a positive 5, we make that a negative 5. Excuse me. And here, we're going to simplify this. So 2x plus 3x gives us 5x. 5x minus 5x is equal to 0. So that disappears. So we left 2 to the power 3 minus 5, which is equal to 2 to the power minus 2, which is equal to 1 over 2 to the power 2, which is equal to 1 over 4. Okay, relatively simple. Once again, yeah, like we could have skipped a few steps here, but for the purpose of this video, we're trying not to skip any steps at all. Okay, so let us move forward to question 1.1.3. Okay, so yeah, we have something that looks a little bit more scary, but it really isn't. Okay, we have x squared minus x. Excuse me. So the first thing we're going to try and do here is check if we have any like terms. We don't. We're going to check if we can find prime factors. I mean, that's not really going to help us here. So the only choice we have here is to try and find the lowest common denominator. But before we do that, we're going to try and factorize anything that we can factorize here. So on the top here, x plus 7, we can't really factorize anything there. The denominator, though, we have a nice trinomial there, which we can factorize, and we'll be left with x minus 3, x plus 2. Now, you could do this on your calculator. If you don't have the calculator, you can use the AC method, which we discussed in our factorization video. If you have some time, please go through that video if you're not understanding how to factorize any sort of trinomials. So let me just go through that really quickly for those that don't know. So we know that x squared minus x minus 6. We know that the standard form of a trinomial is ax squared plus bx plus c. So given this, we know that a is 1, b is -1, and c is equal to -6. So a times c, the product of a and c, a times c in this case is 1 times -6. So it's going to be -6. Okay, 1 times -6. And then we're going to find the factors of -6 that add up to -1. Again, if you don't understand this and you want to see this in more detail, please watch our factorization video and it'll clear up everything for you. So we find the factors of -6, and then we know that is 1 and 6. So we could have the negative there, or it could be 1 and -6, or it could be 2 and -3, or it could be -2 and a +3. So now we're going to look at which of these, with the sum of them, must equal to -1. So if we add up these two, we're gonna get 5, so definitely not that. If we add up these two, we get -5, so definitely not that. If we add up these two, we are gonna get -1. So this is the pair that we're looking for. So how we actually use this now is we're gonna say, okay, x squared, and we're breaking up this into these factors. So that'll be x squared plus 2x minus 3x. So basically, we're just rewriting this negative x as a positive 2x minus 3x minus 6. And then we factorize the first two. We find the common factor here, which is going to be x. And we're left with x plus 2. So how did I get x plus 2? Once we find our common factor, we divide each of these terms by our common factor. So x squared divided by x, you're going to have to be left with x. And 2x divided by x, we're going to have to 2. And we do the exact same thing here. We're going to take a -3 as a common factor. Here we'll be left with a positive x. And a -6 divided by a -3 is going to give us a positive 2. Okay, then we're going to say, okay, in this term and this term, we have x plus 2, which is common. And we left with, when we divide this term by our common factor, we left with x. And we divide this term by our common factor, we left with -3. And that's what we have right here. So just in case you guys didn't know how to do that. Okay. Okay, let's get rid of that. Okay, so let's move on with the question. Let's look if we can factorize anything here. Not really. So we're going to leave that as is. Here we can factorize the denominator. 2 into x plus 2. Okay, so now we're going to, there's nothing here you can do here besides find lowest common denominator. So in this case, we have a -3 here, we have a -3 here, so that's great. We have a x minus 3 here and an x minus 3 here, so no problem. Here we have a x plus 2 and x plus 2, and then we have a 2. So our lowest common denominator here is going to be 2 into x plus 2, x minus 3, okay? Then we see everything is covered. That is x minus 3 is found here, x plus 2 is found here, x minus 3 is found here, 2 is found here, and x plus 2 is found here. So we know that this is definitely our lowest common denominator. Excuse me. So when we say, when we're using the lowest common denominator, we're going to check this denominator. When we divide this entire denominator by this, we left with just 2. So we use what's left over times the numerator of that term. Okay, so that's 2 into x plus 7. We do the same here, divide that. So x minus 3 and x minus 3 will be cancelled out and be left with 2 into x plus 2 times 3. Or should we say, sorry, -3. And then we do the same here. We gave the 2 would cancel, the x plus 2 would cancel. We left with x minus 3, and we multiply that by the numerator, which is 2. So as we expand here on the top, we're going to get 2x plus 14. Here, we're going to multiply this positive 2 by this -3 first, then we get -6. Then we say -6 times the x, we get -6x. Then we set the -6 times the positive 2. We are going to get -12. And here we're going to take the 2, multiply by the positive x there, we're going to get plus 2x, and 2 times the -3, we're going to get -6. And that's all over the denominator, which is 2 into x plus 2, x minus 3. Now we're going to simplify the numerator. We're going to find that 2x minus 6x is going to give us -4x, plus the 2x is going to give us a -2x. So negative 2x on top there. And now we look at we have positive 14 minus 12, which is 2, and 2 minus 6 is going to give us negative 4. Okay, and that's still over our common denominator of 2 into x plus 2, x minus 3. Now we're going to factorize the numerator here. We're going to take out negative 2, and we will left with x plus 2 all over 2 into x plus 2, x minus 3, and this would cancel off this as well, leaving a minus 1 on the top. So that's actually equal to negative 1 over x minus 3. So yeah, that would be your 5 marks. Okay, so let us move on to 1.2, which is factorization. Let's clear the drawings first. So 1.2.1, we have a nice trinomial here. And guys, you really shouldn't be losing any marks in factorizing trinomials. You should be banking on these marks, on these sort of questions for all your marks. So yeah, we're using the AC method. Here we find very clearly that A is equal to 5, B is equal to negative 2, and C is equal to negative 3. So our A times C here would be negative 15. Okay, 5 times negative 3. Okay, so we need to find the factors of this. And the factors of negative 15 is going to be, I'm not going to use 1 and 15 because it's obvious that's not going to work. But let us try and use 3 and 5. So it could be 3 and negative 5. Or it could be negative 3 and 5. So let us see which one works. The sum of these two, remember the sum of the factors have to add up to our b value, which is negative 2. So let's try this also. 3 plus negative 5 is going to give us negative 2. So it's definitely going to be this set. So how we actually use this once again, 5x squared. And we're going to break up this negative 2x into these factors. So it's going to be minus 5x plus 3x minus 3. And then we're going to factorize here. We can see that the common factor here is 5x into x minus 5. And, sorry, not x minus 5. X minus 1, sorry about that. And here, we're going to take 3 out as a common factor. And once again, x minus 1. Okay, so now you see x minus 1 is common on both sides. You're going to take that out. And then you're just going to get 5x plus 3. And just to make it look a bit nicer, 5x plus 3 into x minus 1. Yeah, guys, shouldn't be losing any marks here. And yeah, that's relatively simple. Now let us do the last question for this video, 1.1.2. Sorry, 1.2.2. Okay, so x to the power 3 plus 1 over 125. So in this example, we can see that we can't find the highest common factor here. There's no highest common factor to find. It's not a trinomial. There's no difference of two squares here, but there's a cube here. So it's our duty now to check if this is a perfect cube as well. And we can see that it definitely is a perfect cube. This is 1 cubed. And to check this, you can just try and you can cube root each of the numerator and the denominator. So the cube root of 1 is 1. The cube root of 125 is 5. So we know the rule. When we know that the perfect cubes, the first bracket is very simple. The cube root of x to the power 3 is simply x. Cube root of 1 over 125. As I said, the cube root of the top will be 1, bottom. Then we're going to square this first term, x squared. Then we're going to multiply the first term and the second term of the first bracket and invert the sign. So that's going to be 1.5, or 1 over 5x. And we invert the sign, so negative 1 over 5x. And the last term, we're going to square it, be positive 1 over 25. Once again, guys, you shouldn't be losing marks here. These are all relatively easy questions. So I hope this helped you guys. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And please leave a like as well. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. And yeah, stay tuned for part 2, which should be out relatively soon. And yeah, if you guys want me to go over any particular question, or if you're still having problems with something, please do drop a comment and I will get back to you guys as soon as possible. All the best with your preparation. Take care.